Anguish of the soul. Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath. Have mercy on me, Lord, for I am faint. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. My soul is in deep anguish. How long, Lord, how long? Turn, Lord, and deliver me. Save me because of your unfailing love. Among the dead no one proclaims your name. Who praises you from the grave? I am worn out from my groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. My eyes grow weak with sorrow, they failed because of all my foes. Away from me, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my cry for mercy, the Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies will be overwhelmed with shame and anguish, they will turn back and suddenly be put to shame. Psalm 6. Clearly David's soul is in anguish, and it's summed up in verse 3. My soul is in deep anguish, how long, Lord, how long? We've all been there. We've felt the frustrations, the anguish, the futility of trying to butt our heads against people and systems. We've felt the despair and hopelessness of going it on our own when others didn't seem to care. Even our closest friends and relatives weren't there for us. We're, as the saying so vividly states, at the end of our rope. It seems to be David's frame of mind as well. He prays, then lashes out at unseen enemies, and returns to prayer. He asks the question, how long, but not really expecting an answer. We've all asked that question in one form or another. The answer often comes in the silence after our anguish. Call it the still small voice. Call it the peace that passes understanding. Call it the stillness of a soul spent in anguish. Perhaps it's the gentle touch of a friend. The answer is always there. Maybe you know someone in this state of anguish today. Sometimes a touch on the shoulder or a hug of the neck is all that needs to be said. Top cover. Lord my God, I take refuge in you, save and deliver me from all who pursue me. Or they will tear me apart like a lion and rip me to pieces with no one to rescue me. Lord my God, if I have done this and there is guilt on my hands, if I have repaid my ally with evil or without cause have robbed my foe, then let my enemy pursue and overtake me, let him trample my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. Arise, Lord, in your anger, rise up against the rage of my enemies. Awake, my God, decree justice. Let the assembled peoples gather around you, while you sit enthroned over them on high. Let the Lord judge the peoples. Vindicate me, Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High. Bring to an end the violence of the wicked and make the righteous secure, you, the righteous God who probes minds and hearts. Psalm 7 verses 1 to 9. Throughout his life, David had a fair amount of enemies, both before his reign and while he reigned. King Saul, his son Absalom and the entire Philistine army, for taking out Goliath, were a portion of David's real enemies. Saul and Absalom alone had their own armies who took out after David. Those were not insignificant foes. So when David asks God to rise up against the rage of my enemies, it's a real cry of desperation. It's important also that his hands are clean in the matter as well. Most of us will never have quite the caliber of enemies as David had, but our enemies are still real. We also know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6 verse 12. Would you take a few moments today to pray for our brothers and sisters in persecuted nations throughout this world? Their enemies are very real with the power to destroy churches, families, and lives. Of course, these thugs are still being motivated by the father of lies. Our spiritual families overseas would certainly appreciate more top cover. South Sudan, Zimbabwe, Central African Republic, Myanmar, and Cuba all come to mind. Other nations and specific needs can be found on